My name is Halcyon, and we are here for HugNation, a weekly recalibration, a weekly reminder to ourselves to be our highest selves, to be reminded that we are amongst many other amazing journeyers, seekers, who are also aware of the potential in each of us, in the divine in each of us. And so we take a few moments each week to think about some concepts or stories and get ourselves back in alignment with our truth. This week's topic is about finding your purpose. I had a bunch of cool things this weekend. I spoke at a Lucidity event on Friday night. It was the MC of it in Santa Barbara, and then Saturday I was at the LADCom and did a couple events speaking things there. And during the Q&A session, which I want to do more Q&A. Man, I love Q&A because I'm not very good at planning things, but I like to think on the spot. But the question was, how do you figure out what your purpose is? How do you figure out your life purpose? That so many people, get to a place in their life when they realize that what they've been taught is not enough, and they know that, for true joy and happiness, they need to find their purpose. And how do you do that? And I just thought that was such a good question that I wanted to dabble in it, discuss it a little bit today. It is also the question of the day on the Facebook page, so if you want to pop in your answer to that, feel free. I will check in with them at the end here. But in many ways, it's kind of a trick question because I don't know if there's an answer to that. But I will share what I shared at the time and what I've been thinking about regarding that. How do you find your purpose? I think that it's very tempting to believe that your purpose is something grandiose and world-changing, like finding a cure to cancer or leading people out of slavery or something just big and massive. And I think it's good to remember that your purpose is about being in alignment more than being dramatic or world-changing. That's a very Western-influenced idea of big, more grand change, fix, when purpose can be very subtle. Healthy environments in the animal kingdom and in nature are in balance. Not necessarily, the purpose of a species is not to dominate. Well, let me take that back. They may think so, but the system itself is to stay in balance. So as we become healthy and we find our purpose, I think it can be much more subtle than we might think. So I think it's good to remember that in the realm of humans, it's much like a organism and the cells in that organism. Each cell has a very diverse and specific role or purpose. And many of the roles may not seem critical or may not seem important when you first glance at it. First, the glory cells are like the rods and cones in the eyes. Oh, they get to see things. Or, the white blood cell is who's fighting off the infections. But you need everything. You need spleen cells. You need toenail cells. You need bone marrow cells. You need all these cells that do things dramatically and affect the world, and internally that keep balance. All the cells are required. Unfortunately, our culture has a virus, a cancerous virus, that tries to convince all cells that they have a similar purpose, which is traditional success and acquisition and growth. And unchecked growth without any other purpose is cancer. And so I think the first step in thinking about what my purpose is to strip away your visualization of what that might be. And that purpose could be that you are an important listener and a good listener and you're present. It could mean that you take time with your children. It could mean that you have a skill in mathematics that you have learned to apply in a project that is something that you believe in. So let me take a step into that direction. So sometimes when people start to wake up and realize there's more to it, you start to think, I want a job where I'm living in my values, in what I believe in. And so in our culture, it's very hard to find a job as a philosopher. I feel extremely blessed that in some ways that's part of my job, but there's not a ton of openings. If you look Craigslist for philosopher, you might be searching for a while. But there is purpose that is deeper than simply doing exactly that thing that brings you joy. For example, I talked to some people. I gave a talk about pursuing your joy and seeking your bliss, and at Burning Man, there's this magical thing that happens where everybody does what they would love to do, and somehow it works out. Some people love being rangers and helping keep order. Some people love doing something sacred and being the lamplighters. Some people love making food. Some people love giving massage. Some people love performing. And so everybody falls into this bliss state, and somehow everything gets done. But what I noticed is, in one year in camp, I was feeling really guilty about all the things I was asking campmates to do. I was like, hey, can you go get some ice? Can you go run across town and see if you can flag down the Greywater person? And I was so amazed that everybody was so cheery and eager to do those things. And it finally, I finally realized that even if the task is not something that you love, if it's in service to something that you believe in, it can be in your purpose and in your bliss. That was huge, and that kind of blew my mind and changed the way I looked at it. As I was giving this talk just weeks later, some people approached me that seemed to just prove the point. I had somebody come up to me and say, oh, you know what? I realized lately that I have been following my bliss as an accountant. And I was like, what? To me, accountant is almost like the textbook answer of, the job that you take if you ignore your bliss. And this person explained to me that they have skills and talents in this area of accounting and math and organizing and things. And so they believe in this company that they work with. I believe it was a nonprofit that had, that did beautiful things for people that needed it. And so they recognize that to do real good in the world, you need to have a large, well, you don't need, but one way to do good in the world is to have a big system with all these parts. And so by her dedicating her talents, her accounting, to this big project she believed in, she was in her purpose, and she was able to find her bliss in this role as accountant. And I was like, that's amazing. That's like feeling blissful as you wait in the hot sun to get ice, or you run an errand for something where the act itself may not be something that you would choose to do on its own, but it's connected to something that you believe in. And I think reminding yourself of that is a good way to enjoy your path as you're on it. And if you cannot find a way in which you are doing that, that is a good way to kind of think about, am I using my energies and my talents the way that I want to? Because if I don't feel like my efforts are in line with things I believe in on some level, then eventually I think you'll find you're out of purpose and out of integrity, and you'll need to make some change. Another thing that I realized, that I honestly thought, well, if everybody gets to do what they want to do, if everybody follows their bliss, then everybody's going to dye their hair pink and want to, talk to a microphone all day long. And I realized, wait a minute, I forget that we're all unique and we all desire different things, and different things light us up. And that was really hammered home when I had somebody come up to me after a talk. They were like, dude, I used to be a painter, and I went to Burning Man, and I had all this introspection, and I realized that my purpose is to be a dental surgeon. I was like, what? Like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm really good with my hands, and I I'm really present with people, and I realized that this was a way that I could really serve best. And I was like, oh my God. Okay, so now in this, I get how following your bliss can work at Burning Man. But here we are in the default world, and already we've got an accountant who's following their bliss. We've got a dentist who are like the benchmark tasks that I would say no one's going to want to do those things. So I find that incredibly encouraging. And so maybe that is the process of following your bliss, is surrendering to your talents, surrendering to the gifts you have to share, and then finding a way to share those gifts. It's easy. We always use the example, we always think that being in your purpose is like being an artist or a painter or a dancer. A lot of people then get into body work or massage because it's a very easy, one-dimensional, I am doing good to another person in this realm, or I am sharing my art, I am gifting in this very clear way. But you can gift your gifts in many different ways, of service in many different ways. You can do sales of a product that you believe in, because good sales, I had a great talk with Dimitri about this last week. True sales is not convincing people to do something that they don't want to do, or tricking them, or anything like that, which is often how I used to have a perception about sales, because some people are like that. But you can be, if you have a product or a service that you believe actually helps people and solves problems, then sales is a process of helping people find a solution. And that can be a beautiful thing, and it can be totally in purpose. I think also we need to be aware that one's purpose is often not this black and white, crisp and clear, like you turn a corner and go, bing, oh, right, I'm an opera singer. Sometimes purpose is simply that constant, ongoing pursuit of being in alignment with your values and with your truth. And life is a process of often figuring out what those values and that truth is, discerning what that truth is from what you've been taught. And so your purpose can shift as you get more and more in touch with your truth. And so the mantra that I often share about decisions in life, about every moment in life, of be present, have integrity, align with love, I think it also is the directions and recipe for finding your purpose. If you are doing those things in every choice, then you are getting closer and closer to a clarity from your truth through your actions, and then you are in purpose. And that purpose could just be, it may not have a label that we look for. It may not have a job title. It could be, my purpose is to be in integrity and honesty with every interaction. And you may find at the end of the day, if you go to sleep feeling like, oh, who was I today? I was a person of integrity. That may be that bliss feeling that is purpose. It may be, like I say, your gifts could be something like, oh, I blend the amazing juices. That's my purpose. I'm of service to people. They respond in this way that lights me up. I do believe that one way or another, you do find that if you are getting in alignment with your purpose, you are finding yourself in a place of service. That may not necessarily be true, but depending on how you define service, I'm not sure how else you could be in purpose and not be of service. And I think one of the reasons for that is because when you are not in service, when you're acting for the self, you have such a small target area of ways to make yourself happier. But when you are of service, you suddenly have this massive audience, this massive opportunity to elevate the vibration of the world. And that's how you can't scale selfishness. Selfishness can only make one person happier at a time. But service can lift, infinite. Well, not infinite. Billions. I throw around the word infinity too much, and I realize that it means more than I sometimes joke. Like, there's an infinite amount of things to experience in the world. There's not. Infinity is a much bigger thing the more I think about it. But I'm getting off track. And so let me look and see if there's any comments on the question of the day, where people answered what they thought, how to find your purpose. Pauline shared a quote from Dolly Parton that says, "Find out who you are and do it on purpose." Nice. John Levasseur said, "I don't believe you find your purpose. I believe it finds you. The task is to be present and accepting of it when it knocks at your door." I think that's a beautiful way to look at it. That if you are seeking, it's kind of like the idea of like Taoism. If you're looking for the Tao, if you're seeking this thing, you cannot find it, because you have this motivation. You can't know what you're looking. If you're looking for it, then you have already tainted the equation. But if you are open to it, and you practice the shift that you feel in different situations, the shift you feel internally, not just the pride or kind of gold ring success pleasure, but a more satisfied feeling of righteous goodness. I think that we're so trained to manipulate situations to get what we want. That we want is something that we've been kind of trained to visualize and understand and know. And so it can be difficult to even shift that goal from a thing to a feeling. If you are making decisions according to your ideals and in integrity, and you are making choices, then you can stumble, you can have mistakes, things can happen all over the place that seem like contrary to what you would think winning or purpose is. But if you know that you're doing it in the right way, you can still sleep soundly and know that you are in alignment and in your purpose. That was a cool experience I had a couple weeks ago when Pinkheart was given the red mark on the MOOC map, and which is a massive failure. But because I was able to kind of think back and know that we did the best we could in integrity, and know that this failure, I still feel like we were purposeful and in integrity, that this will be a learning experience for us. I didn't feel a lot of suffering over that failure. And then when it came out later that actually that was a mistake, we were green and there was a mistake in the whole map, it just kind of affirmed that feeling that when your choices are coming from an internal alignment as opposed to trying to meet some outside expectation, this is strong and grounding. That is always victim and always at the whims of the world. And I think that's what purpose is. Purpose is unaffected by the whims of the world. Purpose is affected by being in alignment with your truth. So that's a roundabout way of saying, I have no idea, but maybe it's something that happens gradually as you dissolve the things that are not you and start to give a voice to the things that are you. Patience Pie asks, can a gift or natural talent not be one's purpose? That's a great question. I think that's absolutely. I think that you could be a masterful butcher and suddenly realize that you don't believe in eating meat. I wonder though if there's you can have if I don't know. I wonder if it's a part of understanding skills and mastery versus like gifts. I wonder if you do have a true gift in something. Like if you are born as a piano virtuoso, is it possible for that not to be a gift? I guess your question is it possible for it not to be your purpose? And I would say yes, because the gift, as long as the gift could lead you to your purpose. For example, your gift could be that you are a great salesperson. That could lead you to making a deal. That could lead you to meeting some people. That could lead you to some other organizational thing that allows you to dig ditches and suddenly you realize your purpose. I think it's hard to know. So I think the answer is correct. I mean, the answer is a gift or natural talent doesn't have to be your purpose, but it is a direction of some sort. That if you have some natural talent in some way, expressing it and understanding it will probably lead to something. And it could be that it has a purpose that you never are aware of. And that's the other thing about purpose, is that sometimes, you ever had like a conversation with somebody that you never see again, but you wonder, like, either it affected you in a way that dramatically changed your life, or you have a feeling that it shot them off in a different direction. So for all we know, your purpose could have been that in that moment you were in alignment, you were in your truth, and it affected somebody in this powerful way. It doesn't mean you're in your purpose 24/7 for the rest of your life. It could mean that one of your purposes was that moment and being true to yourself in that moment. I also believe that your purpose, it's not black and white. It's not necessarily a thing. It could shift. It could change. There could be a zillion things that could give you, could be your purpose. You know, there's, I'm making stuff up as I go along. I don't know. It's been interesting for me because I feel like these videos and the videos that I've done for Burning Man or the talks that I've done, been very much been motivated because I feel driven to it. It makes me feel alive. It makes me feel like I'm in my purpose. And there was a time in my life when I was doing them because I was hoping that I would get famous for them. And there was a time, and I've really let go of that. And the reactions that I've had over the last few years from people have been these fairly dramatic kind of effects that this phrase or this word or this talk or whatever suddenly like knocks somebody in the right direction. And so when I hear that, I'm like, that to me is this powerful affirmation that I'm in my purpose. And I feel very lucky because most people don't get that email later saying, oh my gosh, that affected me. But you are affecting people all the time. The more you are in alignment, I think the more dramatic the effect you have, the more dramatic the ripples are, and the more profound you are in your purpose. And if you're out of alignment, then the ripples you're having are, I think, not too much. That doesn't mean you don't have. It's not okay to do that sometimes and get into survival mode and take care of your needs. Sure. Miss Dredd said, "My purpose is to give, bring light, live to love." And it's like I was saying that there may not be a listing in the Craigslist wanted ads for light bringer and lover. And so sometimes the challenge is kind of seeing that your work may not be 100% in your purpose. Ideally, that you will find some way to work where you can have your purpose not at odds with it, or have your bliss not at odds with it. So if you get a job as a waiter or waitress, you can shower kindness on the people that come in, and you can be a live to love in that role of service. Now, there's all sorts of crappy things about that kind of service, but it doesn't. It's still an opportunity to be in your purpose as you're doing a task that it may or may not be unrelated. That's a harder pill to swallow, I think. But if you are also going to be a part of the culture that requires some resources to survive, sometimes you have to figure out how to live in both worlds. I believe that if you truly are finding yourself in purpose, magical things will happen. And if you are that spreader of love in the act of a service position, then you will meet the right person who recognizes your light and may offer you a role doing something far more magical and more in line with what you want. All right, so let's do a HugNation hug, and then and then we'll chat a little bit more. So wherever you are, grab yourself by the shoulders. And whether you are seeking your purpose, or alive in your purpose, or kind of vacillating back and forth between purpose and confusion, be grateful for the journey. It is the path of choice, the path of consciousness, the path of awareness that is such an amazing gift. It is that divine spark of consciousness that we allow ourselves as divine beings to find our way and play this incredible game of uncovering our divinity, of unveiling our heart, of revealing our true selves. It is this path towards purpose, towards service, towards more loving, that makes us grow, that makes us learn, that is the reason why we're here. And if it is too easy, if it's handed on a platter, then there is no learning, no growth, and there is really no point in being here. But we give ourselves this gift. We put ourselves on this path of awakening and struggle in the same way that we would put ourselves on a roller coaster ride or watch a dramatic movie, because it is the revealing and the learning and the epiphanies as we approach, as we seek, as we occasionally get tastes of and then practice our purpose. This is the journey. This journey without finish line, this constant recalibrating, this constant growth. And wherever you are right now, you are perfect. So we're grateful for this body that takes us through. We're grateful for our mind and ego that gives us these classrooms of frustration and joy. And we are grateful for that bright inner light that sometimes shines so bright we forget the rest, and sometimes seems so hidden we forget the rest. Let's take 3 breaths together and think about that light shining, and knowing that our purpose is always a part of us when we are in alignment with our truth, when we are in alignment with love. Inhale through the nose. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the love warriors, happy HugNation. Thank you for being you, for letting your light shine, for walking your path, for recognizing your beautiful, perfect flaws, your humanity, your weaknesses that are your most gorgeous parts. Thank you for walking your path and shining your light and doing your cell's part in this cosmic body. Thank you. I love you. Namaste.